Let's start from the beginning. Listen to what a former Rockstar Games developer said about the next GTA game.
I don't think it's going to be wildly different from GTA 5. I think maybe people might be a little disappointed on the first day. But it's still going to be, the best game out there.
This clip is from a recent interview with Abe Vermai by San & Play. I want to make this clear right from the start. I do not agree with him, and I think we definitely shouldn't lower our expectations for GTA 6. How could we be so hyped for the game, and what could drive us to buy it if we thought it wasn't much different from GTA 5? But before we go further, here's what he added.
Yeah, it's harder to make the same step again because, well, the technology is moving much slower. Like the difference between PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 is enormous, and PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 is not that big, right? So you don't really have that technology jump to make things different and better. So I think GTA 6 is not going to be wildly different from GTA 5. I don't know, maybe they pull it off, maybe it's amazing, but I think some people their expectations might be a little too high.
Here I need to point out one thing. Even if we simplify and say there's not a huge difference between PS4 and 5, and there's no room for revolution, it's worth noting that GTA 5 was first released on Xbox 360 and PS3. We're talking about devices released in 2005 and 6, nearly 20 years ago. GTA 5 was originally developed and released for these consoles over 10 years ago, and I think that's plenty of time for a revolution. GTA 6 hasn't been announced for PS4 and Xbox One, but for PS5 and Xbox Series, so we actually should compare the leap from PS3 to 5, and there's almost a 14-year difference between these two consoles. And yes, I know that in 2014, GTA 5 was released for the last-gen consoles, and there were significant improvements in graphical effects and textures, but was the game incredibly good-looking for its time, and did it stand out among other games? I don't think so. The first GTA 6 trailer already looks insane, and it definitely will be one of the best-looking games ever, but if we're wondering if it will be similar to the leap from San Andreas to 4, we can already say it won't be that huge. The rapid pace of technological and gaming advances in the early 2000s was incredible, and there's no denying that things seem to be slowing down now, or at least moving in a slightly different direction. But 10 years between GTA 5 and 6 has certainly given Rockstar Games the space for a revolution. Also, one more thing I want to mention here is that GTA 4 development started in 2004, just a month after San Andreas release. But that's not the case with 5, because for that game, the development didn't actually start in 2008. By the end of 4's development cycle, Rockstar had started conceiving what would eventually become GTA 5, but proper development wouldn't begin for 2 years after Niko Belic's debut. Leslie Benzies, back then Rockstar Games president, said, "It comes from the idea first. Where is it going to be set is the first question. Then that defines the missions. You're doing different things in LA than in New York or Miami. The map and story get worked up together, and the story is a basic flow of how it works out so you can layer the missions in." The same scenario happened with GTA 6, so the game actually hasn't been in the works for over 10 years, but way less. There was an interview with Develop around 2013 where Benzies said, "We've got about 45 years worth of ideas we want to do. We don't know what GTA 6 will be, but we've got some ideas." So it's impossible for the development to have started right after the release of GTA 5. Back then, most of the team probably switched to working full-time on RDR2. And sure, some people likely started thinking about what the next GTA game would look like, but we can't exactly call that the full development cycle. They surely didn't have developers writing code or artists creating assets. It was a time of prototyping, figuring out what they wanted to do, where they wanted to go, what the story could be, and stuff like that. For years, the team working on the game would have been relatively small. According to the LinkedIn profile of John Young, a former developer at Rockstar Games, he claims to have worked on GTA 6 from 2015 to 2018 as a lead video editor, seemingly confirming that the game was in development around 2 years after the release of GTA 5 and 4 years prior to the official announcement of GTA 6. But according to various sources, the development was rebooted around 2018 or 2019. After RDR2 was released, we didn't really get any big additional content like story DLCs, so to me, this makes a lot of sense. On one hand, it might seem unfortunate, because it would have been better if the studio had spent a full 10 years perfecting every detail of the game, and there's some truth to that. But on the other hand, look at how much has changed in game development. A huge amount of new technology has emerged, and Rockstar has probably learned a lot from working on the RDR sequel. We have already seen more realistic NPC behavior in Red Dead 2, and it's only logical to expect the same, only more advanced, in the next GTA. NPCs with believable routines, just going about their day, partying, or hanging out with their friends. I mean, these aren't just background details. They're going to make the world feel more lifelike lifelike. And let's not forget about the animals. In RDR2, we also experienced some of the most advanced wildlife behavior which looked and felt natural, something that we haven't really seen in any other game, not to this level at least. With GTA 6's urban setting and modern timeline, we might see people walking their dogs on the streets, showing off their exotic iguanas, or having those massive alligators just lying lazily in their backyard. All these things are going to make this upcoming title more interactive and fun, which is exactly the heart of this series, and why we fell in love with it in the first place. Keeping all this in mind, we can definitely expect a product tailored to today's standards, demands, fans' expectations. Speaking of which, I do feel a bit sorry for Rockstar because each additional year of development just brings higher expectations from us. After the first trailer, I feel like most of us can agree that they are ready to deliver, though obviously we can't be certain if all the game mechanics will work as well as we imagine, or if the game story will be fully satisfying and extensive enough to please every player. But it already confirmed that the graphics will look absolutely amazing. Graphics aren't everything, but it's the first thing we encounter when watching the trailer. Of course, I'm talking about that incredible sunset over the state of Leonida. Then it gets even better. Water physics and visuals have significantly improved. We finally have hair, necklace, and earring physics, NPC and traffic density is much improved, and a volumetric cloud system has been implemented. They also improved volumetric lighting, FSR is most likely being used, and also the ray trace global illumination, as well as RT reflections with a mix of SSR. The character rendering seems to take a more stylistic realism approach instead of photorealism, which makes sense because it's not a real-life simulator but a GTA game. The list of improvements over GTA 5 and even RDR2 is huge. So, if Abi meant that in terms of graphics GTA 6 isn't going to be wildly different from GTA 5, then I think he's wrong. Unless we're talking about a modded GTA, because in that case, the gap between these games might be much smaller. Today I teamed up with the Chromatics Graphics mod team to show you the latest update of their mod. It makes the game look much better with every month's update, and recently they implemented the previously mentioned volumetric cloud system and also replaced a lot of vegetation with new enhanced designs. There's also an add-on with high-resolution road textures and a whole lot more, so make sure to check it out. The link will be in the description and the pinned comment down below. But getting back to the video, even if we just focus on physics, we've got reports claiming that Rockstar hired a team of 20 engineers specifically to work on water physics, which suggests that there will be more to water besides simply boating around in it. While it's not really confirmed, surfing and other water sports are a real possibility here, especially with Rockstar focusing so much resources and of course money on improving water physics. But what we do know from the trailer is that there will be a lot more activities. We saw people throwing parties on their luxurious yachts, cargo ships carrying out containers, and many small boats speeding across the sea, which really brings GTA's usually dead water bodies to life. With improved water physics, we can also expect more realistic boat handling, which is something that I've never really loved about GTA games. They have hardly given us a reason to want to ride boats, which is something I am hoping GTA 6 will fix. But that's not it. Way more stuff in GTA 6 will be better than the previous games, and it's not just the things we notice at first glance. People have even dug into Take-Two interactive patents related to new methods of animations, allowing in-game characters to react more naturally to combat, weather, and interactions with other NPCs. And if that's not enough, Take-Two has also invented and patented new graphics rendering systems that aim to fix some of the problems of traditional systems, making graphics rendering more efficient, thus improving performance and allowing for better, more realistic, and more immersive visuals. But as you know, not everything has to be better. In some aspects, it's enough just to maintain the current level, and there are even elements that might seem like a step back compared to GTA 5 at first glance. First of all, the number of protagonists, reduced from 3 to 2. I don't know if you're aware, but GTA 4 was a sort of experiment, and the first attempt to introduce more than one protagonist into the game. They didn't do it directly because, as you know, the main game has just the one and only Niko Bellic, but the story DLCs that came later, The Lost and Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony, allowed us to experience Liberty City and its residents from totally different perspectives. Later, the idea of 3 protagonists was combined into one game, and that's how in GTA 5 we've got Michael DeSanta, Franklin Clinton, and Trevor Phillips. I'm wondering how you all feel about the idea of having more than one game protagonist and the ability to switch between them. Let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, we know GTA 6 is going to be different from 5 because Rockstar, for some reason, has decided to abandon the idea of 3 protagonists and reduce it to 2. We will have the opportunity to play as Jason and Lucia. I'm wondering if this is somehow related to player feedback because I've seen comments here and there that 3 protagonists are too many, and that's why I asked what you think about it. On the other hand, if Lucia and Jason are supposed to be the modern-day equivalents of Bonnie and Clyde, it indeed wouldn't make sense to force a third protagonist into the game. And it also gives Rockstar the perfect chance to explore relationships and romance more deeply with Lucia and Jason, unlike previous games, which hardly touched upon romance. So, this whole dynamic duo situation might actually work out great if Rockstar decides to give players some sort of choice to shape their relationship, whether we want to keep things platonic or develop a more romantic connection between the two. Whatever the case might be, we can definitely expect some flexibility in influencing the interaction between Jason and Lucia. I can't wait to do a whole playthrough and see how the story of GTA 6 will end, because if I had to guess, I'd say both protagonists will die, and that's when we'll be invited to create a new character in GTA Online. Though I'm pretty sure the story will keep us entertained for a very long time, especially looking at analysts' estimates that the upcoming game budget is somewhere around $2 billion, including marketing and other expenses. So if you were to ask me whether I'm worried that the upcoming GTA won't be much different from GTA 5, I would definitely say no. But what do you think about it? Did the first trailer or the leaks, if you've seen them, convince you of the same? Let me know in the comments down below.